I never thought a roof could start a war, but let me tell you, the day I picked beauty over beige, everything changed, and not in some quaint, good for you way, but in the kind of way that drops a legal grenade in the middle of your quiet life. You know what I mean? It's wild, looking back now, how fast paperwork can turn to battlefield, how a woman named Karen and a forged zoning map can make you question whether sanity or property lines matter more. But that's getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a sec. See, I'd been living out here, this half-forgotten corner just outside Flagstaff, for 3 years before the fireworks. The house itself is an old adobe, late 1940s, thick walls, big bones, enough distance from the neighbors that you could howl at the moon and nobody'd know. For me, restoring the place wasn't work, it was therapy. I'm an architectural restoration guy, so fixing up the rotten joists, rewiring, replumbing, reinforcing the old foundation. Hell, it's what keeps my hands busy and my mind sane. Last on the list? That battered patchwork roof, the kind that leaked whenever the wind so much as sneezed. I wanted something with soul, something worthy of the bones beneath. So I picked a high-end terracotta tile, a weathered clay finish that just screamed classic Southwest. Burnt orange, subtle variation, not some plastic wannabe. Contractor was licensed, permits all filed, city inspector came out, even left a note. Thanks for not picking that shiny metal crap. Looks great. For one brief, shining moment, I thought the war was over. Turns out, it was just starting. Exactly 5 days after the last tile settled in, I find this envelope poking out of my mailbox. The return address? Willow Mesa Estates HOA. Problem is, I don't live in Willow Mesa. That development's across a ravine, a fortress of beige boxes ruled by folks whose main hobby is minding other people's business. But curiosity won. I opened the letter, thick stock, gold embossing, signed with a flourish that could slice bread. Mr. Aldrich, it has come to our attention your new roof does not comply with community visual harmony standards. Remove and replace within 30 days. Sincerely, Karen Worthington, President. I read it twice, then laughed loud enough to scare the birds. First off, my land's always been separate, different parcel, zoning, with a stretch of trees and about 200 feet between me and the nearest beige box. Even if I were part of their kingdom, which I wasn't, nobody in their right mind would demand you rip off a legal, fully permitted roof just for not matching the Stepford look. I figured it was a mistake, a lazy paper pusher. That night, I replied, attached my deed, zoning docs, even the 1998 city map showing their boundary stopped short of my lot. Mailed it off, patted myself on the back for handling business. 3 days later, another envelope shows up. Same letterhead, but this time it wasn't just please comply. It was failure to comply may result in daily fines, legal action, and notification to the city. I didn't laugh this time. I sat at the kitchen table, letter in hand, watching the sun slide across my new roof. That slow grind of tension started up, because this wasn't a mistake. It was a shot fired. I went out to the property line, just past the trees, stared at the ravine. The HOA sign sat deep on their side, but from there, all you could see were rows of boring beige, my roof blazing like a flamenco dancer at a Sunday potluck. That's when I realized, this was never about the roof. It was about power, about someone needing to win. And Karen, with her clipboard and God complex, wasn't backing down. The city got involved next. Some anonymous complaint about non-conforming roofing had landed on a desk. A woman named Sheila at City Compliance, tired already, told me, "We got the complaint, but your permits are good. Should be closed." "Let me guess," I said. "The HOA president filed it." She just sighed. Thought it'd end there, but nope. Next morning, there's a city inspector at my door, clipboard, digital camera, the works. "We're doing a supplemental inspection," he says. "Visual continuity zones." I almost choked. Is that a real thing, or did Karen just make it up after a couple glasses of Chardonnay? He grinned, but kept quiet. Took his photos from the sidewalk and left. 2 days later, I find a $2,500 municipal fine in my mailbox for visual disharmony within proximity to designated aesthetic jurisdiction. Not a warning, a fine. Apparently Karen had friends in City Hall, or someone who owed her a favor. Suddenly, the complaints started piling up. Noise violations, illegal chickens, junk in the yard. I don't own chickens, and my junk is a wheelbarrow. Somebody even claimed I was running a roofing business without a license. It was like watching a toddler throw everything at the wall just to see what stuck. But you know what? I'm stubborn. I started documenting everything. Letters, fines, envelopes, even the flyers Karen had printed, taped to telephone poles. New roof threatens community harmony. Neighbors started whispering, sending emails. One guy, Tom, 3 houses into Willow Mesa, messaged me. You're not the first she's tried to push out. A retired couple said they'd been fined for having too many rose bushes. Turns out, I wasn't alone. Here's where the real twist comes in. I called in a favor from an old friend, Naomi Medina, a former architect turned land use attorney. She took one look at my stack of documents, shook her head, and said, they're trying to pull a jurisdictional land grab. If you don't fight it, they'll rewrite the map and make you a member after the fact. 2 days later, she forwarded a public notice. Upcoming city meeting. Proposal to realign Willow Mesa's boundary, conveniently wrapping my property in the fold. The justification? Historical inclusion intent. Yeah, that happened. We dug deep. I spent hours at the county office, sifting through dusty maps and deeds until I found a 1998 zoning map, signed, sealed, and with a handwritten note. Parcel 214 remains independent due to private infrastructure. Naomi was thrilled. She pulled in a zoning consultant who found satellite images showing my separate septic, utilities, everything. We built our case. Meanwhile, Karen doubled down. Anonymous complaints kept flooding in, and city workers kept showing up with clipboards, just checking. Flyers everywhere, demanding the city hold me accountable. My house started to feel less like home, more like a bunker. I put up cameras. Neighbors, some brave, most anonymous, shared their own run-ins with Karen. Finally, the day of the zoning hearing arrived. The room was packed, city staff, board members, residents. Karen swept in, white suit, 2 stooges in tow. She gave a speech about visual harmony and community investment, waving a blown-up photo of my roof like it was public enemy number 1. Naomi stood up, calm as a judge, and tore their whole argument apart. Deeds, maps, expert testimony, proof the so-called boundary map Karen had submitted was drafted by her brother-in-law's private geospatial firm. That was the first crack in Karen's armor. The commission opened the floor. Suddenly, people started lining up to speak. Neighbors, ex-residents, even a guy who'd left after being fined for a hummingbird feeder. Story after story poured out. Harassment, fines, threats. The commission chair finally called it. We'll deliberate and notify you in 5 days. As we left, Naomi grinned. We just turned the HOA queen into a cautionary tale. I wasn't so sure. People like Karen don't lose quietly. Next morning, I find another violation notice, this time stamped by city building compliance. More fines threatened. Naomi's answer? Media. We got a journalist. The story hit local news, then exploded online. When a roof becomes a weapon. Comments flooded in from across the country, folks sick of HOA bullies. The real kicker? A whistleblower from the HOA board leaked internal emails. One showed Karen coaching a city employee to fast-track a violation against that rooftop restoration freak. Naomi sent it straight to the ethics board. Within 72 hours, the city announced an investigation. Karen went silent. For a minute, I thought maybe the storm was over. Then, spray paint. Big black letters on my stucco wall. No one is above the rules. I knew exactly who'd sent that message. Naomi filed for a restraining order. Served it on Karen's porch in front of 2 local reporters. But she wasn't done. 2 days later, a certified letter arrived. Notice of proposed boundary adjustment by the HOA, trying to annex my land for real. Naomi went nuclear. Filed for an injunction, brought in experts, even found HOA meeting minutes where Karen bragged about restoring control over fringe properties. That was enough for an ethics complaint and a conspiracy case. And the city wasn't the only one watching. Former HOA victims sent us evidence. Fines for wind chimes, mailbox colors, citrus trees. Civil liberties groups got involved. The story made national news. Memes went viral. My roof labeled Arizona's most defiant home. I never planned to be a symbol, but here we were. The trial was public. Naomi came armed with boxes of evidence. Expert witnesses. That 1998 map with the mayor's seal, the whistleblower, even city staff who'd been pressured by Karen. The judge listened, looked at Karen's forged documents, shook his head, and dismissed every claim the HOA had filed. Karen was found liable for fraud, abuse of process, and ordered to pay $190,000 in damages. She was banned from any HOA or civic board in the state. My land. Officially and forever, not under their jurisdiction. A week after the verdict, I put up a new sign. Private land, not under HOA control. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Yes, even you, Karen. People started stopping by to take photos. Local magazines ran stories. My roof, a symbol of not giving in. And me? I finally got my piece in a porch view that was worth every fight. But you know what? Even now, part of me wonders, if I'd caved, kept quiet, let them redraw the line, how many others would have been steamrolled after me. So, what do you think? Was I right to fight? Or did I just make it worse for everyone? Drop your thoughts below. Is there ever such a thing as too much community control? Where do you draw the line between order and freedom? Let me know, because out here, the battle might be over, but the story's far from done.